I will call this meeting to order at 3 minutes after 5 on April 7th, 2025. And I don't think we need to introduce each other.
You have one addition for the agenda,
Okay.
which will be the February financials.
Okay, where would you like to put that?
We'll put it right after open to the public.
Okay. All right, so with that addition, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the March 10th minutes. I assume everybody looked them over. Any changes, corrections, discussion? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Laura, it's your turn.
Second. Yeah.
Oh,
You can't say second or raise your hand. There's two votes.
oh,
That's the.
all those who
Yeah,
approve.
yeah,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, Ted, thank you. Okay, we're open to the public. I don't even see the dog, so I guess,
She's under the table here.
oh, okay, no comment.
comment.
No comment. Ah, there you are. No comment, great. Then we are closed to the public, so financials.
Okay. Those up on the screen. Okay.
Take your time.
Just gonna grab something out the printer since I won't be able to read my screen. Okay, financials, February, those are really small, huh? Those up a little bit. Just a tad smaller.
There you go.
Okay.
Good.
All right. February P&L reflects a net income of roughly 62,500. Let me see if there's anything new, because generally these have all been the same week to week. Nothing new on the revenue side, unless you have questions. It is the exact same report as last month. You know, the lines that are high because of, you know, the same reasons as last time, and low for the same reasons as before. Same on the expense side. Same thing. We'll go down to that. Exact same as last time. Insurance paid in full, marketing sponsorship is high, Rutland Feud, all that stuff is the same. So accounts receivable as of 2/28/25, accounts receivable totaled roughly 315,000. As of today, that totaled $337,000. RRPC's FY26 indirect rate proposal was submitted to VTrans in March. And the approved FY26 indirect rate is 64.84%. Just a little bit up from last year, I think was 62. Since I've been here, we've ranged from about 60 to 67 has been our highest. So we've been in a pretty good, consistent range throughout our time. So finances are good. In addition to the report, I'll let you know that we are beginning our FY26 budget development now. All the staff are meeting with MK and I next week. We're going to try to get a draft to you guys at the May meeting to give us more time than just going through it in June. Now that's what we hope to do, barring anything crazy. I think that's what will happen. we haven't looked at everything yet, but so far things are looking, even with some issues with federal funding, things are looking really strong for next year, which is good. And then for the remainder of FY25, we're doing one more budget exercise to make sure that we have that nice, smooth, easy landing into the black at the end of June, where we're asking staff to get us our budget projections from April to the end of June. So we're working on that now. So far, so good. Seems to be like we're gonna end in the black like we always do. So, questions or thoughts?
V-Trans, is there any issues with funding coming down from them? It's still on track.
V-Trans has been perfectly fine. The one we'll get to here in a second is emergency management's been on the chopping block right now.
Gee, I wonder why.
So, speaking of, let's take a quick peek. ED report.
Yep.
So we've got our second select board meetup coming up on Wednesday. And that'll be at the new Castleton Rec Department. That's where the village school was, next to the library. We have over 30 select board members registered already, which is
Popular.
really popular. We only had about 20 last time, so this will be great. We're focusing on municipal shared services and Act 181 for this particular meeting. But I'm hoping this will start to, since this one isn't a combination with VLCT, it's just the RPC. This one will start to shape a little bit more informally and allow for greater conversation. So I'm excited. We're going to keep these going quarterly.
Are these just for select board members?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Not
select board.
administrators and managers, select
No.
board members. Yeah.
The only time we
Legislators.
allow the administrators if it's in the town we're hosting. So Marianne went to the first one. Mike Jones and Caston will be allowed to come to this one. And then we haven't decided a venue for the next one. Probably move it maybe up north, maybe Pittsford for the next one, or Proctor. So we are going to be holding not one but two trainings back to back next Wednesday and Thursday on Act 181. And this is to provide education to select boards, planning commissions, ZAs, managers, and everyone else involved in planning and zoning and development to really help inform them on the changes to Act 250, the state designation program, and the regional future land use map. The hope is that some of this pre-work will make it so when we have our town future land use map meetings, they'll have some foundation and understanding where this all is coming from. So the flyer and meeting invite should have gone out to all of you today, this afternoon. So hopefully you all got that. Our email list now on our mailer light service is about 1,000 people now. So yeah, it's we're getting big, which is great. Another
Devin,
yeah.
Can I ask? I was curious about the email list. So, like planning commissions, it probably goes to the chair only, right?
Nope, every member we have, it goes to.
Every member of every town's planning commission?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great.
And every select board member and chair.
How are those updated and renewed? How do you keep track of those? Because I'm thinking, I wouldn't know that you would have everyone's
We don't
names
have,
and emails.
so this is an unbelievable undertaking every single year that Karen works on. And she works directly with clerks in each town to get this information updated. Right now, she's just prioritized the select board changeover. So if there's been significant changes in planning commissions, we don't have them yet. So that's generally what the process has been. Actually, it's been interesting, Laura, because what we found out through we're trying to make this process easier and better than it's just so much legwork. There's not a single repository for municipal information in the state. Secretary of State doesn't do it. Vermont League of Cities and Towns doesn't do it. but we all ask for some little piece of that
Yeah.
information. So these
No
poor
kidding.
clerks, they're getting it from every direction.
that's true.
So we actually
Yeah.
are gonna pursue the idea of a centralized repository with VLCT in the coming
Great.
months. You know, there's no commitments. This will probably take a year or two to get figured out,
Yep.
but it's needed.
Sure.
Yes,
And for you all to be able to access it,
Yeah,
you
tried
know?
that before.
exactly,
Yeah,
The legislators.
exactly.
directed To the sergeant at arms.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where you have to go.
Yep.
Nobody has it.
No,
Nobody has it.
that's a
Um,
really good idea.
Yeah,
Just
and
when
I
I-
think save time.
Yeah, no, exactly. Every time a town like if we have to do our hearings on our town plan or whatever, and you gotta find
Oh
the
yeah, all the
abutting
adjoining
towns,
towns, yeah.
the clerk's email or, yeah, exactly. So, I just wanted to be sure that these notices and I guess your newsletter also goes to all of the select board members.
Yep, and
So,
planning
okay.
commission, yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
But please, you know, if you're like, in your
And I-
case, Laura, you know, being on the town planning commission and you as well, and of course you and you're not these days, but share it out just in case we're missing somebody.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got one select board member who does not have a computer, that will not have one.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that's not there's a few
Oh,
out there.
wow.
Yeah, it's surprising, but
Yeah,
it's a thing.
we've got 2 new select board members. Planning commission hasn't changed, so,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah, I think we've got, Sandy's always really good about getting us that stuff right away.
And hopefully no personal emails. That was the big thing we went through at Otter Creek is,
Mhm. Oh, they're mostly personal emails.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot more select board chairs though, having
they should
like
have a
select
town
board
one, yeah.
chair at whatever. Oh, I still get like the crazy, you can tell they're a personal email when it's
Yeah.
like farm guy 27 at Hotmail, you know, it's not as thing, but either way. So another training opportunity. So for the 3rd year in a row, the
Oh.
Secretary of State is coming down. We're gonna hold another open meeting law training. So hopefully all those new select board members and planning commission members can get a little refresher on that. And I know it's imperfect, and you know, I've even talked to the Secretary of State about this. She's, you know, they sort of apologize and say there's a lot of things we sort of our canned response is you got to talk to your town attorney, and legally that's just the way they have to approach it. But even still, I think it's a really worthwhile training, and the video, the recording is always really nice for people to go back to. So
My-
yeah,
my understanding is the video that's on the Secretary of State's website is approved for your annual training.
it is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
not that I won't, might come down May 7th.
Oh yeah, we
Appreciate
love
you
that.
holding
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Exactly.
There's always, what I find these trainings most useful is when there's the you know, hypothetical or anecdotal experience that's brought up
Mhm.
that everyone's like, ooh, yeah, that's happened in my town too. What do you think? And
Yeah.
if there's a good answer, it's useful.
Can-
So and
Can I
not
ask,
so,
can I interrupt
Yeah.
one more time? Sorry.
Yeah.
For the Act 181 training that you're doing 2 days, is it 2 days of training or are they repetitive? Are they, the same thing?
same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the email hopefully made that clear. I was trying to say,
Okay.
there's
I'll look
2
again.
options to encourage greater participation. I
Right.
probably should have made that more clear. But yeah, it's a repeat of the same training, 2 different days.
Okay.
So the not pleasant news is Vermont Emergency Management was notified by FEMA today that the BRIC program for 24 has been canceled, which is the Building Resilient Communities program. And there will be no new applications for 24. And that any applications that were selected for 23 and not yet awarded, which is all of ours, will be canceled as well. So BRIC
Oh.
is the #1 funding source for our local hazard mitigation plans, which you all know are critical in getting your ERAF rating down, not to mention the plan itself to actually like plan for new hazards. And it's unfortunate because we're going through 5 of these right now. And Rutland City's first ever municipal LHMP, which is surprising, I know, but first ever. And they had just revamped the process and added new requirements, and the process is really good. And it's unfortunate to see the rug pulled out. So we had several towns, Hubbardton, I think, being one of them for BRIC 23.
I think they would had something going there.
Yeah, that they're not gonna happen. So I don't know the answer. The more concerning piece is that our EMPG program may be next. Which I don't know what we're gonna do, if we would still have a program or if it would be a really small version. It's not a ton of money. I mean, they already reduced our funding last year, remember? Cause the state or the feds cut it by 10%. And we had been level funded since 2017. So, yeah, not ideal.
You hear directly from the federal government, or does it come down through the state, this information?
This came down through the state
Yeah.
today, yeah.
What does that mean for towns? For example, our local hazard mitigation plan it's supposed to be updated in 2026.
Yeah, I
Does
don't
that
know
mean-
yet. I don't know
Don't
yet,
know yet.
Laura.
Okay,
Certainly will mean there will be no money for it potentially.
It still has to be done though, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing is like honestly, my big concern, especially with these new requirements, is that towns are gonna try to do them themselves.
Yeah,
And no town is equipped to
good.
do this. It's pretty complex work.
Yeah.
And not to mention, right now, the backup on just approvals is unbelievable. Like we've had a plan waiting for approval for months for Middletown, for months and months and months. They're not even close for it. I'm wondering if all these changes and reductions in FEMA will also mean that plan approvals maybe either super delayed or not approved at all. I would hope that they would at least delegate that complete authority to the state. But these are,
that ties in with FEMA too, your FEMA funding, if you have a
yeah.
natural disaster
Yeah,
in town,
exactly.
your plan is not.
yeah. It's a
Yeah,
problem.
But
And we're
you're
already,
assuming FEMA's gonna continue on.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, and there might be no more PA. You know, we're hearing that the PA program might be completely delegated to the states.
State can't handle that.
No.
Cannot
And they also
handle-
talked about increasing the threshold to 5 million, which for Vermont would be debilitating, because right now it's, million or less. So it's like, it would be a problem. We're closely monitoring our existing grants, both state and federal. There's been 3 fully or partially canceled grants so far: health equity, energy efficiency and conservation block grant, and climate pollution reduction grant. You can imagine why, with the buzzwords associated with those. Those haven't been significant hits to our budget, so we're okay. But our 2 major federal grants, the Department of Labor Work 6 and Brownfields 8, would be a big hit to us. So that would be a problem. At this point, our #1 goal is to not have to lay off any staff at any point. And luckily, we have really solid funding to keep that going. So,
These take effect immediately or in the future, the next budget,
for which
any of the cuts that are happening now.
some of the cuts were already in our budget. Those 3 that
Yeah.
I mentioned,
Yeah.
those were in the FY25 budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just an update, this week is when we're starting to schedule the future land use map meetings with towns. So all that stuff looks good. And that's all I got.
Okay, regional plan update.
Yes, so, I won't go through the big formal report. The number one thing to know is we made it through task 3, Rev 3. You guys didn't have to come in and review the chapters.
And we were disappointed.
Instead, we had the entire staff review the chapters, and last week we met for 2.5 hours a day, every day of the week, and reviewed all 10 chapters, and it could not have been a better outcome.
Good.
Our chapters have aligned, people seeing each other's. I was very concerned about where they were. I'm very not concerned now. I'm impressed. We're gonna have a really good plan. And we still have several revisions to go, you know, well, not several, but a
Cool.
few more to go. So I'm very encouraged. The staff really stepped up.
Good.
So good stuff coming there.
Great.
One thing I did want to share with you is we're doing all the last phase of engagement planning right now. So we're going to basically be doing all the town meetings with the future land use map and doubling up and talking about the plan chapter drafts as well. In addition to that, we're going to do a bunch of those pop-up events again. So to make this, we went into this whole like process thinking about accessibility in the forefront and making this plan accessible in the process and encouraging more people. So we've decided and developed 3 layers of review somebody can do to this plan, with the most basic to the most complex. So the most basic, and I'll show you in a second, we hired a cartoonist to visualize our plan as a map, to show the priorities of the plan as a caricature of the region. And that's the highest level. If you do nothing else, that's what you'll see. The next level is we did chapter summaries for every single chapter, a single page with the top 3 current conditions, future trends, and policies and actions. And then the last bit is if you want to review the full plan draft, you can do that. So we've got something for everybody. And I'll just show you right now because it's so cool. Here is a draft. This is early sketch of what our visualized plan looks like. And as you can see, it's starting to visualize the different, not only the different policies, but where those policies could apply. So right up here in Brandon, we have a guy turning on water, saying we have plenty of capacity for new housing. This one is about our woods are full of liquid gold in Chittenden, talking about working lands. Here we go again, is another flood in Killington and Chittenden. Infrastructure in Rutland City, the infrastructure is here, why not build it? We're landing new business at the airport where the airport industrial park is. You know, the Castleton Library and talking about access for all. This little bumper sticker says, I break for village vibes, talking about traffic safety in villages. The Wallingford Block, who knew this old building could fit so many new businesses? And then talking about scenic views, I hope we never lose this view, and the medical center in Paulette hiring for practitioners. There's a Chitcher in Paulette. So yeah, I think it's a really
That is
fun,
cool.
very unique way to do this. And the staff, you can see some of these written on the wall. These were our sort of thought maps for some of the little quotes. So what we're gonna do when this gets finalized, this is gonna be printed out as a big poster for all our pop-ups, and we're gonna take out all the captions and have folks do caption contests in real time with the little sticky notes that look like, you know, quotes. So I think it'll be a really unique, fun way to do it.
Very
I
good.
wanted to share that with you all.
I have one question. What's that little porcupine man? What is that?
That is a burdock for the Benson Burdock Festival.
Bird? Oh, it's a burdock.
Yes. And we're
Maybe it needs
adding
a
a few
little
more
more
things.
reference.
I know. We might have to add something there. 'Cause right now it looks like a
Birdie the
long,
burdock.
long spine
Bert.
sea urchin.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
That's all I have on the regional plan for right now.
Okay, regional plan Act 250 and section 248 criteria.
Yes, so I sent this along. Hopefully you all had some thoughts and had a chance to review it. We've already gone through and hacked this a lot, even since I sent it to you. So I want to go through it. And what does this mean? So when our regional committee reviews Act 250 and Section 248 projects, we have to review that against two things. For Act 250, it's conformance with the plan, right? So do the policies allow that development? And does it meet significant regional impact? And what is really important to differentiate here on significant regional impact is when I talk about this to commissioners and towns, everyone immediately goes negative that like, ooh, this criteria is about prohibiting development. It is not about pro or con anything. It is about whether you want to have the opportunity to weigh in, good or bad. And this provides a threshold for when you get to weigh in, good or bad. Now, the Section 248A and Section 248 criteria, that's for the PUC process, and it's just an additional level of criteria for those renewable energy and telecommunications projects. So right now, our substantial regional impact definition is what? It's an easy one. There's only one. Does it impact two or more towns? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all our plan says. So it makes it really difficult to sort of weigh in, because how do you objectively say whether it impacts two or more towns? So instead, we've borrowed from RPCs throughout the state to hand select different criteria for the substantial regional impact that we believe make sense and are actually quantifiable, you know? So the first one considers transportation. So level of service is the time in which it takes to get through a specific intersection. So at this, we're saying a level of service change from D to E or E to F. So if it D to E or E to F means it's getting worse, only on roads with 5,000 or more cars per day. That's the average annual daily traffic is the AADT. So not every little tiny road, but roads that rise to that kind of higher volume level. The next is contributing 5% or more traffic volume to the peak hour level of service on a significant local or state highway, or immediately adjacent to the planned growth area, future land use area. So that those remember the planned growth areas are the areas around our downtowns and village centers, the really dense areas that matter the most. So we thought 5% was a reasonable number, because that could mean, on a 10,000 cars per day, that could be, quite a few. The next one is solid waste, contributing 5% or more to annual volume or tonnage of a solid waste of the host municipality. And this is really like speaking to community facilities. Can a transfer station handle the added potential waste if they're not having it contracted to Casella? And that's really just an opportunity to consider what those impacts would be to our small. That one, to me, I could go either way. I think there are other criteria that are much stronger, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad one. Necessitating public capital improvements, but not limited to, widening or signalization, additional sidewalks, expansion of public or sewer or water, additional safety resources, expansion of schools. We could go on forever what this list is. We're just trying to provide some like general things, and I'm happy to add any specific areas you want to focus on. But the point is, like, if this development requires a lot of public investment to make up the lack of facilities or utilities or services, then that should kick it up to that regionally significant level. 5% more on the average load of electrical energy on distribution lines during peak hours. This one, I think we have a comment here. Consider adding language or provision about significantly meeting the goals of the regional enhanced energy plan. We decided to scratch that, just that the regional enhanced energy plan already exists. We don't need to rewrite it here. But these ones, you know, may be harder to quantify. Also, you know, what it's trying to get at is if there's a super high energy consumption development happening, is the region able to sustain it? And is it gonna drastically impact our renewable energy goals? Is the question. Again, not saying they can or cannot do it, but this is a chance to weigh in. Those I'm again less supportive of. I'm fine with them. The next one I'm much more supportive of: will generate new direct employment equal to or greater than 1% of the region's existing employment. This is 291 people as of December 2024. And that would be the 10th biggest business in the region. So we're saying if you're a huge business with almost 300 people, that's regionally significant, because guess where those people are coming from? All towns in the region and outside of it. Located in or directly adjacent to special flood hazard areas, highest priority forest blocks, critical natural resources, class 1 wetlands, and areas identified with threatened or endangered species. So natural resources protection really is number 8. Impairment of continued functioning of regionally significant facilities. So we're trying to think of the things that aren't owned or operated by municipalities, such as like the airport, the medical center. We talked about VTSU Castleton, bridges, dams, schools, or airports on state or national systems. And we said any recreation facility within the resource-based recreation area. Remember that those are big areas. It's our Lake Bombazines, our Killington Resorts, Okemos, not any other small rec areas.
Right.
Will entail residential construction with the total proposing housing units exceeds 5% of the total housing counts in the host town. And this is again to sort of like consider the local impact. You know, 50 units in Rutland City versus 50 units in Ira, right? Big difference.
Definitely.
Big difference. Will entail commercial industrial construction with a single or multiple buildings. So 10,000 square feet outside of planned growth areas, 20,000 feet inside of growth areas. Public, private, or non-profit facilities or utilities meant to serve multiple towns within 1 mile of a municipal boundary. Effects of existing or potential capacity to provide essential or required public services. These are a little bit redundant with the ones above. I think we can wordsmith these a little bit more. And then lastly, if it's any one of these or a combination of them, that'll be considered regionally significant. What do folks think? Is this much stronger, clearer language that a developer could pick up and be like, okay, I know this can be regionally significant?
Yeah.
And again, this is not saying you can't have these things. The committee can look at these things and say, oh, it's adding 5% to the grid, it's adding solid waste, it's adding units, it's adding 20,000 square feet, but it conforms with every policy in the plan, it's good to go, you know, versus right now, it's like, oh, it's 2 or more towns. Well, I don't know if we can actually say that. And we don't have any policies in here that would really yay or nay it. So I'm curious, is there anything in here where you're like, that's a no-go for me, or anything that you feel like we're really missing?
It goes back to the word substantial,
Mhm.
and we've struggled with this in community. If you don't have guidelines or guardrails, what does substantial mean?
What does it mean?
It gets subjective, and it's, you know, the arguments start, it's not, it isn't.
We need it to be clear.
You need to be clear
Yeah.
to go down through.
So some
But
of
the
these
question
could be
is,
more
who does
clear.
all the work on this. So it starts with a developer.
Yep.
Gets this list and they have to answer all the questions because it.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
like,
could,
Um,
we could request this information, and we have in the past.
Yeah.
You know, like when we last month, when we looked at that parking plan from Killington and approved it, I dug up all the materials from 2013 when we reviewed it. We asked them for a ton of stuff. And it's really important that we do this in the early stages of the project before they submit a full-on application.
so impact to the electrical grid would be on the developer to figure out between that and the
Mhm.
utilities and.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Maybe all that
Same with
information.
solid waste. And even if it's an estimate, I mean, it's better than what we have now, you know?
Mhm.
And we're not trying to, the other thing is like, we're not trying to recreate Act 250. Act 250 exists for a reason, you know? Cool, let's look at section 248. So I completely rewrote this after I sent it to you because we met Jeremy, Logan and I to better align these all. In mine, after talking with Jeremy and I spoke with Annette Smith for a while, you know, they just were lacking specificity. So I reduced them down to 6. And these are just for telecommunications. So prohibited within 1,500 feet of neighboring structures, which has become a huge issue. We just reviewed one that was like right on a property line in Timoth, and Timoth is gonna be fighting it.
Yep.
Shall include a balloon scenic impact test in all rural future land use areas of the plan. So that's saying, hey, you have to do the impact test. We gotta be able to see how this impacts the scenic resources in rural areas.
And then that balloon test, there's rules on that, how many days it goes up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And let them work through the PUC process on
Yeah.
that, you know? And again, telecommunications are super unique, right? Because they get to, as a developer, you get to pick. You can either go through the PUC or you can go out through Act 250. You don't, it's not an automatic, either one. The next one is about aligning it with those bits where you saw before, highest priority blocks, class 1 wetlands, special flood areas. Also protecting, there's a cone of airspace. You're not supposed to build more than 50 feet above ground on this cone outside of the landing zone for Rutland Airport.
Approach and.
Yeah, exactly.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, yeah. It's not well understood. You know,
Yeah.
it's not well understood. Developers of any proposed telecommunications facility must hold community outreach meetings to investigate and propose solution to reasonable community concerns. I like this one. We have this one in our energy chapter as well. Telecommunication facilities prioritize for permanent residents of communities that are unserved or underserved by radio, cellular, and other wireless technologies. Trying to get at the equity gap in our region, and it's a huge one. And then lastly, should not compromise scenic views, and towers that exceed the height of tree line must be designed to mimic natural features in all rural future land use areas designated in the plan. So again, trying to connect it back to this map and make it reflect those historic settlement patterns and scenic resources in our region. Any big qualms on these? You like them?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got,
Last,
oh, okay.
go ahead, sorry.
I might have some comment. The one, and it might be just wording, so I think I know what you mean. Telecommunications facilities will be prioritized for permanent residents. Just some wordsmithing, I think, because you want it to mean that the facility is going to be provided with service for those, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
what you
that the-
mean?
I'm
For
saying the
example, those recent two, the one in Ira and the one in Tinmouth,
Yeah,
I guess they're capable of cellular, but there's no plan.
Yeah,
You know, they were
exactly.
developed by that business that serves like a trucking industry.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's important. I mean, but I Isn't
think
that
it
what you
is.
mean? And I
Yes,
am
that's
kind of,
exactly, that's
okay.
exactly. Okay,
I'm surprised that the PUC doesn't require that kind of, when their statement is for the public good.
yeah, no, they don't. They really don't. I mean, they require the notices, right?
Yeah,
But no. That's a great comment, Laura, and I'll definitely fix the
it's just,
language on that one.
just the wording. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that doesn't say that.
Realize I should have made this bigger for you.
I'm not sure that I'd go back and forth. The next one that's about, if it's above the tree line, it has to be the tree kind. The, what do they call it? The mick. I don't know. There's a funny name for those. Sometimes the fake tree look is like worse
Yeah,
You're trying to.
than
yeah.
just a plain lattice that's painted, the kind of the disappearing gray color. But yeah,
so
that one I could go
maybe
back and
it's
forth.
They do look worse, I think.
So instead of must, maybe it's like should be considered or something. I'll work on that one too.
Yeah.
I might send you something on that. There's yeah.
Yeah, and I'm if you guys think this is not a priority, this does not matter as much as the scenic things with the balloon
I think
test.
people are so
Right.
used to cell towers, they're just
Yeah.
necessary because everyone has a phone and they just,
Yep,
they're
exactly.
fine with it, yeah.
Right.
We're used
So-
to it.
Yeah, until it gets up on the ridge line and then you start complaining about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's-
oh, that's a
all of
good
our
point.
utility lines, we're so used, we don't see them, but all of a sudden, if there's a photograph looking down South Main Street, first thing you see, all those poles are there, the lines, and yeah, we just don't. And
It's
then you go
true.
into a neighborhood where everything's underground, then all of a sudden you notice the difference. But we just got so used to looking at
Yeah,
things.
that's true for Larry. Yeah.
You guys have all seen these already when you reviewed the energy chapter, but I just wanted to show them in alignment because they all sort of, so, he has them broken down by type, right, for the renewable energy. So biomass, not allowed. Geothermal must meet state and federal requirements. Hydro must go through the Low Impact Hydro Institute, which that's a
Oh,
whole
cool.
set of criteria, which I think is a
Yeah.
cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Natural gas not in conformance with the plan, which is true with their current plan as well. Solar, forest fragmentation, wildlife passage shall not apply to development on rooftops, parking lots, gravel pits, quarries. So again, those are our preferred sites.
Mhm.
Count towards the renewable energy, must hold those community outreach meetings, must not cause forest fragmentation and habitat loss, must allow for wildlife passage through development. That's at the utility scale, and then at the commercial scale, and then the residential scale, so kind of similar based on the scale types. Wind, anything but residential, not allowed, which is again, exactly like our current plan and what we've heard. So it's way pared down. We went through that, we had that crazy list in our current plan. And Laura, you can speak to this, there's that one provision where it's like there can't be more than 15% deforestation for the project area,
Oh,
but it
right.
doesn't explain what the
Right.
project area is. Is it
Yeah,
just
right.
the spot? Is it the whole parcel?
Yeah.
So
Remember that.
this just gives us much better, as a
Yep.
general term, must not cause forest fragmentation and habitat loss. I think
Yeah.
it'll be easier this way.
Yep.
So that's the full gamut. I like it because it's simple. hopefully it's predictable for not only the committee, but for developers in our region.
Really good.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I'm happy with them.
Yeah, you said you emailed it, but I guess I missed it.
Yeah, I'll clean this one up and resend it to you guys.
Okay.
And then when this is completed, will you do like a training for the regional committee or?
Oh, yeah, that'd be
It
great. I
really
think
is.
that's a great
Oh,
idea.
good idea.
The best one. All right, what's next? This guy?
Oh, draft parental leave.
Okay. So you guys asked me to do this like last year and I've been kicking sand and not doing it.
Well, there wasn't a need for you.
Well, yeah, and I'm still like, this does not have to apply to me by any means. I recognize that. However, if it does, that's great. If not, I have plenty of time to take off. Either way, I think it's a really important policy to start to implement. It is currently being reviewed by attorneys, so there may be some changes, but let's just walk through it. It's looking at 4 weeks in a very simple, either a birth of a child or a adoption or foster care.
Mm-hmm.
This would run concurrently with FMLA or VPFL in our case, which is our paid family leave, or we have unpaid family leave, right? Our leave policy. So the employee would have to be with the company for 12 months and be a full-time employee. Again, they'd have to be given birth to a child, be a spouse for a child, or adopted somebody, or adopted or fostered somebody 17 or younger. The 4 weeks would have to be used within a 12-month period, which our attorney said I did speak to him quickly about it. He said that's the way we should do it. And the employee is compensated on 100% of the employee's regular straight time. Oh, this is supposed to be 12 during a 12-month period. He said that is the standard.
Mm-hmm.
This will happen at the conclusion of short-term disability leave if a female employee is given birth, needs it.
Interesting. Yeah.
This one, the attorney also said needs to get scratched because that's not the way apparently it's supposed to go. So I'll just cut that out of there. Yeah, and we won't pay it out if somebody was eligible but didn't take it and they leave. So this last bit, coordination of other policies, MK's got to go through and just make sure that we don't have many, but our other leave policies align, in which we need to make it explicit when and how, like, do employees still accrue, or do we still contribute to their retirement?
Oh, yeah.
My thought was that it should not accrue sick time, you should not accrue vacation time, but the general benefits of retirement and healthcare should still exist, because that's
Yeah.
what our current policies have.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. My thought is this: if you guys like the direction we're going, we'll go back, work with our attorney and with MK. And if you give me sort of this like preliminary approval, we'll come back in May for a more formal adoption. Or in June when we do all our policy work and do it that.
This is the full board? for
This
that?
will go to the full board. Yeah. Any thoughts? We have a very young staff right now. I think this is going to be an important one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's overdue.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's a situation in the past, it would have been nice to have it, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And because we've had some births during my time, and it's modest. 4 weeks is very modest. But I think I like when we all talked about this in the fall, early winter of last year. You all said, let's not make it open to everything. Let's keep it parental and let's keep it to 4 weeks. so we can like do this iteratively. And I think, given budget implications moving forward, that's the prudent solution, is like, okay, if we like it and it goes really well, and we want to add more, fine. But for right now, this is better than nothing.
My question is, are you a company or are you a commission or are you what?
Oh, we had align all the language to be
Yeah, okay, good.
like it is in our handbook now, which would be commission. Yeah, yeah. Any thoughts, feelings?
Seems good.
Like, plans in place, or just say an employee, staff member takes 4 weeks off and they're working on a project, so you're gonna have to somebody has to jump in and.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that would be the case anyways, right? So like,
Anyone, yeah.
right now, if somebody like myself, if you don't implement this policy, I'm still going on paternity leave,
Yeah.
right? And I'll just use my paid time off because I have
Right.
more than enough. And I would still have to do that. And same with like my honeymoon, we're all planners, you gotta plan to take that time off and hand those projects off or keep them going. My thought is this for myself, whether this policy exists or not, I'm thinking 3 weeks when the baby is first born, and be checking emails and working a little bit, an hour a day, every day, to not let things pile up. And while maybe sleep in, we have some downtime, try to address some of that work where possible. I know this could all just go out the window tomorrow, right? And then that last week or two, depending on how it all sugars out, I'll use sporadically throughout the rest of the year, because my wife isn't going back to school until December. So she's gonna be at home for 6 months with a baby, which is great. We're super lucky, but in that time, I'd like to be able to be there and, provide support. So,
That was gonna be my other question. Does it have to be taken all 4 weeks at one swoop, or could you spread it out?
Yeah.
And you just answered it.
yeah, spread it out. Yeah. And I think that'd be better for the commission too, to be able to, we do flexible
True.
scheduling now. Why wouldn't we
Right.
allow that for our time off too,
What about, say, the second, and depends, obviously the birth, and I am speaking in theory.
Mhm.
The third week, the mother decides that she wants to get to work. What is the possibility of, say, 4 hours a day off? And how would that impact the 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think it would just stretch it out that much
Okay.
further. Yeah.
Good.
Because we do that now, right?
Yeah.
You could work 2 hours a day and use your PTO and stretch it way out, or do what I do and take a week off at a time, right? So, yeah, I think that would be,
Does it need to go in there?
I think we'll make that expressly clear that you have 4 total weeks. How you use them within a 12-month period is completely up to you.
Okay, if you go that route, would it be, and I'm just throwing this out, because one of my universities did that, was rather than 4 weeks, it was you have 160 hours. And how you choose to use those 160 working hours was really up to you.
Yeah.
And it did make it a lot easier if
So it was better that way.
yeah,
Yeah. So I envision this being the exact same way. Yep.
Good.
And like us, all of our time is based on hours anyways, right?
Yeah.
Because we code every single hour we work to a job. So our 4 weeks would really be the 150 hours, right? 37 hours, 37 and a half times 4. So,
and would you then want to put that in there some way, 4 weeks, or in parentheses, however many working hours?
yeah, we could, because right now what we define in our handbook, we define that work week as 37 and a half. So we could say, hey, it also needs to just include it for reference. Cool.
What's your timeline on this now to get it back by May?
Yeah.
May, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be a quick turnaround. Yep.
And what's your personal timeline?
Personal timeline is due date's June 16th, which is the day before, I think, our annual meeting. Yeah. Stop sharing for a bit. So yeah, as of right now, you know, MK and I have a contingency for the annual meeting. If, you know, Marisa delivers that day, I won't be here. But if she delivers the day or two before, day two after, then I'll be here. At least for that 2-hour block. So yeah, feeling pretty good.
You really think he's gonna be here?
I got confirmation from my wife.
Should
For
we
now,
take bets
for now.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, executive committee vacancy and the nominating committee, yes.
okay,
we-
so, Mayor Michael Dunges has not been reappointed to the board. Dave Allaire, as new board president of the Board of Aldermen, has appointed himself. So, as you all know, he's been on this committee, he's been on the board for years and years and years, so he'll be a returning face. As per our policy, when there's a vacancy per the bylaws, we are to fill that vacancy at the next regular board meeting. So that would be next Tuesday. And this position would only last for
2 months.
May and June, right? And then they would be reappointed. So,
Elected.
then they'd be elected, exactly. So, it's just a process. My thought is, like we always do, we throw it out to the full board and see who's, it'd be really, really great to, again, start to onboard some new folks as some succession planning for us. But it's whoever's willing to do it. So I guess we throw it out there on Tuesday. It may end up being Dave. He may be the only one willing to do it.
When you send the information out, can you give a heads up? So
Yes.
people can think of it, because it's awkward. You know, for Eric, if nobody's thought about it and all of a sudden. You know, you ask for it and
Yeah.
nobody steps forward, they don't know what their schedule is, and you gotta
And this-
explain the position.
Yeah.
At large.
Cause it is the at-large member, so it's
just
the least amount of work
Yeah,
associated with this
attending this
committee.
meeting,
Yeah,
and whatever,
that's
10
it.
times a year. Well, for now, it's only
Twice.
twice.
Yeah.
Only 2
Yeah, 'cause
times.
you gotta start all over again.
And as chair, if you want to direct me to, I'm happy to talk to any specific members that you think might be good additions as well, leading up to next week. We can talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I know one who I don't want.
Yeah, I can.
You
I can-
didn't hear me say
I
that,
can figure that out.
sorry.
That also means this is the time frame in which we need the nominating committee. And again, you're the chair, you can have it be internal. I'm thinking this is a really good opportunity to engage some of our newer, less engaged members, or not even less engaged. I'm thinking about Drea Stoddard, somebody who's really engaged from Danby, comes to all our meetings, young woman. I think she would be a great one to throw on the nominating committee and get more of our towns to start talking and commissioners to start talking. I think getting 3 people on a nominating committee that have not served in that role before may produce a really nice, different outcome. So, we can also talk more, because the US chair can just dictate who is on the committee. We don't need volunteers. And I think that would probably be the way to go. So what I'll do, again, Larry, from your advice, make it perfectly clear in an email and the invite, and maybe even a memo, that would help,
Yeah. So they-
on both the vacancy and the nominating committee.
On the nominating committee, you really don't want people on there that could potentially be officers, because they're just gonna eliminate themselves from being. on that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're just gonna
Yeah.
get, yeah,
Mhm.
tricky
That's a
too.
good point. Although they technically, if only one was an officer, they would just abstain from that particular
Mhm.
nomination. In theory. But. Cause it is the full board at the end that makes the decision.
Yes.
Well, let's see if we can get some new blood on the nominating committee.
Good.
And get them talking.
Sounds good.
Okay, April Board of Commissioner agenda.
Yep, super quick. We have a regional committee meeting. We do not have community committee. I thought we were gonna have Wells Town Plan, but it's not through the
Okay.
process yet. The Rutland delegation is coming. So right now we have Jim Harrison, David Weeks, Chris Keyser, and I think Terry Williams signed up to join us. And-
At the next,
Board of Commissioners meeting on next
okay.
Tuesday to talk about stuff they're working on in session and to hear from the commissioners as what their priorities are. I remember Donna and a bunch of folks earlier, maybe in the winter, asking me to do this, and I wanted to wait for there actually to be things to report out on from session, so. And then lastly, the big portion of the meeting will be going over the draft future land use map that we did for you guys last month.
All right. Commissioner updates? Laura?
I don't think I got nothing. If I think of something in the next minute, I'll let you know.
Okay, Bob?
All quiet, Hubbardton.
I love Hubbardton. Larry?
You know, all quiet men and
Yeah, it's all,
I don't go in the town office. So.
except
got
by
nothing?
appointment, right?
Do we have nothing
No, I
across the
just pick
board?
up another assignment, so I don't go.
Yeah, just avoid it, yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, well, I did call and got the town clerk to do a banner carry.
Oh, nice, alright. There you go, you're asking somebody else to do something, there we go. Finally figuring out, Larry.
Delegate.
It's a great word, isn't it?
It is, yeah, you learn how to use it.
Super. Yeah, Wallingford is doing its little thing. And yes, the Wallingford block is, the first floor is full, the second floor is full of all the offices, and she's looking for a grant. So
Amazing.
it's going strong.
Sorry.
Yeah,
And Come Alive outside had their goat and s'mores on Saturday.
Cool,
Pet a goat and get a s'more. Don't ask me.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
So, yeah, that's it. All right. Any other, Laura, did you think of anything yet? Nope.
No,
very unusual. So
We won't make you do it next week either.
Yeah.
Those are one quarterly, one annual.
Okay, in that case, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
hi.
All right. We are adjourned at 6 minutes after 8.
Nope.
6 minutes after 6.
After 6.
The basketball game.